Limp Wrist and the Iron Fist is a story based on me. So it's actual a true story of how I came out to my friends. And in this coming out to my friends, we went on a wild adventure around London where we ended up in deep conversations, exploring life and coming of age and what made us queer, black and in London. Was that enough?
Boom.
That was great.
Was that correct?
The bar is here.
I want to go see that.
Our show is about a young stand-up comedian in London who is about to make it in the big time, and she says a joke and she gets canceled.
The play explores themes of feminism, what it means to be a woman who's navigating the comedy scene, and what it means in this world to tell a joke that people don't like, and cancel culture.
Jesus, a New Musical, is a story about a boy that finds queer love with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Falling in love with a hot man on the cross, and you can expect bodily fluids, church hymns, and just a lot of fabulousness.
Rapture.
Rapture, baby.
It was the bodily fluid.
Basic Bold B is a fast-paced one-woman show based on my experiences of having alopecia. It uses comedy to point out the absurdities within the beauty industry and beauty standards. It kind of looks at how far one person will go to keep a secret. And it also kind of unpacks these online versions we create of ourselves and society's views on people's physical differences and how we feel about that, really. What's the harsh reality of that?
How British Eres Tú? It's a show that it's a TV show, interactive performance, where it explores the aspects of identity. It also explores an autobiographical aspect of a young person coming from the Andes of South America, ending up in Brixton and adapting with the slang. And all this under the Life in the UK test, where the show explores identity also with the audience and try to sort of find out how British they are.
Nocturnal Sun is a music dance theatre piece that explores our relationship with the sun and the environment. I'm composing music with classical, jazz, avant-garde, electronic genres in mind. And the dance is using African dance from the diaspora and contemporary dance to explore our relationship with the environment and pre-colonial cosmology and concepts and philosophy. So it's a meditative and quite sensitive piece about what our future and our past looks like.
Great.
That sounds amazing. So my show is a comedy drama, and it follows two best friends that are going to this day party of the year. It's a day party they've been anticipating for a really long time, and the protagonist, she knows that she's going to start her period when going to this party, so she takes a pill to delay her period. So the story follows all the consequences of taking that pill, and it explores loads of themes such as family, friendship, secrets, black women's relationship with the NHS, and mental health.
Tending is the first verbatim play about NHS nurses. So it's built on 70 interviews and their words are crafted together to create a three-person narrative. It's funny, it's moving, it's heartbreaking, and it explores the inner lives of a community that's often go overlooked. And then lastly, it has a kind of fundamental question at the heart of it, which is who cares for the carers?
How did you come up with the title for your show?
I remember.
Go on then.
That's a good question.
Oh, no.
How did you see that?
So we were at my house. I don't even know why we were there, but we were just talking about stuff. And I was like, I really want to make a character called Hennessy. And then we were like, but it can't just be Hennessy because that's a little weird. And then we kept spitballing names that went well with Hennessy. Shout out Jade. We put Hennessy Jade together, and then we built the character from there. But
That's cool.
I just wanted a character called Hennessy. I don't know, like it was just my thing. Oh, there was a bottle of Hennessy in my house. There was a bottle of Hennessy in my house. There we go.
Mine, I was learning voguing from an amazing choreographer called Bambi, and she was saying how you have an iron fist behind your limp wrist. So when it comes to whacking and, you know, voguing and all of that, there's power behind it. And I just remember thinking, whoa, stealing that name. No, but I think it resonated with me so much, and it just made me think behind being queer, there's so much power. And I just said, I would love to bring that title to life.
That's lovely.
It's a good title.
Yeah, it's a really good title.
It's like way to follow that.
Nocturnal sun is a phenomenon where in the past you could read at night. So the sun would go down and you'd still have like light and these ultraviolet rays and these kind of green and beautiful haze that you could read by and you could like still be outside with, and that we've kind of lost it because of all the cities and the light pollution and everything. So I think I'm just trying to remember something I never experienced almost, and what that might feel like, or whether we'll ever like return to that where we can live like that again.
Mine's kind of, well, not boring, but I was on my period and I was in a lot of pain, debilitating pain. And I just remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, my period is such a, you know. And then I was just like, oh, that's it. And then there was another title that I was playing with, and I spoke to one of my friends who's actually the social media manager of my play. Shout out to Kinise. But I was like speaking to her, like, what do you think about these two titles? And she was like, no, that first one, like, because it's the bane of our lives. So she was like, it rings truth to home. And I was just like, yeah, I just want to have an unfiltered version of that title. So I came up with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's so memorable as well.
People always say, oh, I love the title.
It reminds me like Stephen Adler Gerges and his like plays, you know, them with the hat. With the hat, you know, like Yeah,
that sort of happened with Jesus, because it used to be Jesus Christ, like we know, and then we were like, oh, that's gonna be hard to get some funding for it. But then we kind of like.
But was it always in your head written Jesus?
Yes.
Like the double E on the set.
Yeah, I think so. It was a combination of like obviously the name and the shock value of the Jesus, and then it became sort of like a soundbite in the show. So it all simplify it.
I think the title came because it was I was doing the Life in the UK test, and I was writing my memories as part of this play, and I was so frustrated because I realized that a lot of these questions and answers, a lot of like my British friends didn't know about it.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, why am I studying all this bull? And then eventually I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna start testing them. So I started like putting how British are you? But then eventually I just felt like it just needs some Latino twist in it. So, because like we're lots here and people don't know about us. So, especially in Brixton, so I said like, okay, cool. So let's put like how British it is too. And that's how we came about it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It stars.
You see, provokes conversation.
So bilingual.
Go bilingual.
I feel like with my play, it's gone on a whole journey. There was a day, I've been working with my dramaturg, shout out to Maddie, she's here today. We've been working together for years, and there was a day where she sent over this whole document of title ideas, like 20 plus. And they were like, you know, bold puns, all about losing your hair. And then she followed up with saying, Emily, I think that's the most offensive thing I've ever sent to you. And I just could not stop laughing. The titles were gold. And it actually came about, like, this title was something I'd wrote in the first 5-minute monologue that I'd ever written of this play. And I was like, oh no, like, take it back to its roots. And, like, that's where it all began. Yeah.
Nice.
Mine's called Tending because I suppose like in that it's about tending to people, tending to people's needs. I think because also at the heart of the play, it's like obviously nurses have so many clinical skills and are clinically excellent, and it's not to overlook that at all. But there's something so specific about the act of caring. There's a line in the play which is like, patients don't care if they get their drugs on time. They care if you know how they like their cup of tea. You know, it's like that type of thing. The people who hold your hand as well as everything else. So I thought tending kind of spoke to that like tailored gentleness. Yeah.
That's really
I love the tone of your voice, by the way.
Thank you. Start making some audio.
It's real nice.
Just keep going. What do you want your audience to think about when they leave the performance?
Good question.
I feel like with mine, even though it does go to quite a dark place, and we kind of go on this whole emotional roller coaster, at the end, I want audiences to leave on this high. It's joy. It's about celebrating yourself, and I want people to be empowered to just express themselves however they want, whatever their body looks like, whatever their identity is. Just be you. Yeah.
I think it's an interesting question for our show because it depends on who you are, right? So whatever social identity you carry will have a big influence on what you take from any piece of theater that you watch, right? So for some people, shows are about being seen, understood, supported, backed, but also some people that I hope come and see the show are learning and are opening their eyes and they're leaving reflecting and doing the double think on things that we don't usually double think about. So I think specifically with our show, everybody who goes there is going to take something completely different from it, and that's actually kind of the intention. It's not actually to leave with one thought. It's leave with many thoughts, and whether that thought is, wow, finally someone said it, or the thought is, damn, mirror face. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think that's from what I'm hearing about everybody's work. Everybody has that in their shows. Every piece of theater here is political, right? And there's no leaving anything with one thought. And I think if there is one thought leaving, maybe it does disservice to a lot of the shows I'm hearing about here. So
I think as well, it's about, you know, in this world there's a lot of like cancel culture and stuff, but I do still think there's a freedom of choice, just not freedom of consequence. And I think our show just delves into, you know, you can make a choice to be and say what you want to, whatever you want to say, but you're not free of the consequence of what will come with that. And it changes depending on your gender, your race, all different types of things.
For me, like although my play is written in a comedy drama sort of way, a big thing for me that I would love the audience to take away is that Black women in pain should not be taken lightly. We're not all strong Black women, and that's something that's been put on us for a really, really long time. And I think, you know, many people have misconceptions of what period pains are like. There's stereotypes, or maybe you have done some research, or maybe you know somebody that does go through debilitating period pain, but it is actually a lot worse than you think, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. And like when I was writing the play, a big thing that came up for me that I wanted to ask the audience is, how do you advocate for yourself as a woman who does have debilitating period pains? And actually, as individuals, we should all be advocating for the people that are close to us, and even the people who are not close to us. It's just really important to be there for your friend or a family member or even a stranger when they are going through this difficult time. And I have a saying that I always say to myself, like, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. But sometimes we cry, and we should be held when that happens.
I think in the play that I want people to live with is also, it's a statement, because I think like I really want them to also perceive that there are Latinos here in the UK, but they're not just Latinos as foreigners, they're like British Latinos. And there's a new thing that has been going on since the 80s. So there's been this association of us just being foreigners. But to be honest, like a lot of us were growing up in Brixton and stuff. So we still hold those aspects, but also create like a bigger picture, like what is this test about, and how you define how British are you? Because people actually consider themselves, oh yeah, I'm on a score from 0 to 10, I am like a 4, but what does that 4 mean? You know, what does that 3 mean? You know, and I guess it's just opening a conversation in terms of like identity and how that actually can affect the way of how you can move forward, regardless of like the race, color. So it's quite open in the aspect of making you think. And I guess like I want people just to think about that.
My absolute dream is that people will leave Jesus singing the songs that we wrote, and then maybe have the urge to call their mom.
Yeah, I think I would love people to leave the room in a way, kind of like going through a journey of like almost a religious journey, but with themselves instead of with myths or preconceptions or things that other people tell about yourself. Yeah, I want Jesus to be a liberating experience, and it's been for me to like make peace with God. Ooh. Yeah, I can't put it into words. Come see it.
For me, I guess I want people to be present and not only just think, but just take in what they're watching. I feel like so many times people go to watch shows for escapism and just not really think about the world that they're in. My show speaks about identity, what makes you who you are, the reason why we pick certain friendship groups, why we rely on them so much, and at the core of it, why do we have these coping mechanisms? And I guess I just want the audience to just be present in the space with the performance and just know that they're watching something to think of the bigger picture.
I think for us as a whole team, what we really want, also to go off what you were saying, depends on who the person is or that's coming to see it. So in general, like a big aim of the show is to educate people about what it's like to actually be a nurse, because so often, I know we had this a lot during COVID, like nurses are spoken about a lot, but in the form of stats or in the kind of like angel hero type way, which is completely kind of like, ironically like erases their experiences. So the play centres them, and I'd like people to come along and be like, oh my God, wow, I didn't know it was like that, and to show a kind of full range of experience as well. And in that understanding, hopefully cultivate greater empathy for them in a way that I hope leads to political action, because I know as a whole team, we all really, really strongly believe that they're not just overlooked, but we've let them down. And I think if you come and see Tending, you'll see that, as well as like all the gorgeousness and beauty of it and joy as well. We also want, like, if you're a nurse coming to see it, I think we want nurses to come and see it and be like, oh, yeah, that's the first time I've seen like our lives properly represented, which is feedback we've gotten. And then lastly, we're inviting some policymakers as well. So hopefully I want them to leave and be like, oh, I have a great like duty here. And it's not just like stats and numbers and finances, but like a moral responsibility to look after the people that look after us.
For Nocturnal Sun, it's such a, there's no like dialogue, there's no like script in that sense. There are things that people say, and there is like an otherworldly voice, and there are lyrics, and I sing, but I think for me it's been such a process, and it's continuing of research and unearthing things that were never told to me, and a lot of things that weren't written down. A lot of like pre-colonial mythology and cosmology is like oral histories, and some things sometimes people write down, some things people don't, and kind of trying to reconnect the pieces of my ancestry and knowing that there's a rich mythology and like storytelling that came before of all cultures, and just trying to really immerse myself in that. And I think I want people to know that there was so much before. And hopefully there are more people who are going and looking at what we can learn from the past. And obviously it's not something you can just paste on our contemporary lives, but that there's a richness there, and there's a immaterial there that can help us with what we're living now. So yeah, if I can get anyone to just think, oh, I wonder what other stories there are, that would be great. And they can help me too.
Where were you when you came up with the idea for your show?
So for me, I had just done a show called For Black Boys at the New Diorama. It was our press night, and I was feeling a bit overwhelmed. And I was sitting outside with our amazing director, Tristan, and we were just having a conversation about identity and, you know, how important we feel like this show is going to be for London. And I was saying to him, I wish that there was more queer stories. I said, this show is so beautiful, but I feel like, especially talking about suicide, being queer was like the number one thing for me. And Tristan looked at me and he was like, write it then. I said, me, my dyslexic self. I said, I can never. And he was just like, no, it's heavy on your heart. You want to tell this story of being black and queer in the UK. So write it then. I said, oh. So yeah, that was like 3 years ago. And I just started writing and yeah, that's how it came about.
For me, how did I come up with it? I remember, I think it was the Christmas, that time where Boris Johnson said we can't go and see our families during Christmas, even though they were throwing parties. But I remember I was kind of just frustrated with my my acting career because I've always acted. And I was just like, oh, you know, I'm not really seeing the stories that I want to be in, or if there are stories I want to be in, I'm not getting auditions. So I just kept saying to myself, okay, stop complaining, do something about it. So then I remember I attended a writing workshop online. There was like loads of things on Zoom at the time, and Ricky Beadle Blair, love him, he was doing like a writing workshop, and like his workshops are so great because he just installs so much confidence in you that you can literally do anything. And I've never written before. Well, I've written something before, but nothing that I completed. So I remember I attended this workshop and he kind of gave us some writing exercises. And he said, when you write your first play, make sure your why is so important. So I was just thinking to myself, what's really important to me? Like, what's a story that no one's really talking about? And then I thought, oh my gosh, my period, like that's literally been the bane of my life since I was 12. And I've just had, you know, personally so much difficulties around that. And people are like, oh yeah, that's really sad. Oh, I'm sorry you're going through that. But it kind of stops there. The conversation stops there. So I wanted the conversation to continue. And then, yeah, from there, the beautiful life of my play has like taken its own journey.
It's very interesting as well, because for me, there was a period that I was just doing a lot of facilitation and working with refugees and young people and also young Latinos as well. And I saw that there is like a lack of identity between them because, like, you know, you could see some of them drink tea, but they also have empanadas on the side. So it's like, it's a whole mixture, like, you know, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I did YCP, and just to be able to write and to perform and to create something, because I haven't been able to do something for myself. And I work with Alviro Andrade, which is an amazing dramaturg, and he was just telling me, write what you know. It's like, what the hell do I know? Like, I don't know nothing. I mean, and then I started writing memories, and I was getting frustrated because I was writing stuff like in terms of like my time in Brixton when I came, and then, you know, I didn't understand the slang because I didn't speak the language, so I had a lot of troubles. They were saying, oh, you know, oh, that's sick. And I was thinking, oh, that man's probably actually sick. And I was like, you know, is he okay? And they was like, no, that's sick. And then understanding all of that. So I was like, oh, gosh, like, oh. So it was interesting for me. And then when I was doing the Life in the UK test, I closed myself and I was so frustrated. And I was thinking, write what you know. And then my friend was telling me, who is a Polish guy, we were best friends since we were like 16. And then he was telling me, be a thief, just steal stuff. I was like, what do you mean be a thief? I was like, don't you mean like find motivation or inspiration? The same thing. I was like, cool. So I was like, cool. I did the Life in the UK test, and then while I was doing that, I was just stealing things here, there. And then all of a sudden, everything came alive and then just made me feel alive. And yeah, and I think I'm really excited to be able to show it as well.
I think the first idea probably came in my first confession with Father Javier, thinking like, why am I speaking about these things to a priest? After that, I think it came when I kind of like lived the death of my grandma quite close after living a long time abroad, and remember seeing kind of like my mother's relationship with religion and how her relationship with religion was so filled with love, and it was such a nurturing thing for her when it wasn't for me. And think about that kind of like emptiness that I had because I stopped believing in God at some point. And I think I was like, how do I reclaim that spirituality for myself? And I think that was the start. And then through COVID, through the pandemic, where we all had time to get our things together, and Guido and I just started dating then, I was very excited to like share ideas about like musical. So
Queer Jesus.
Queer Jesus came about. So I think that's where it started.
I was actually walking to the theatre today and I walked past the wig shop where I bought my first ever wig. So it feels like such a nice full circle moment to have the show on in Brixton, where I used to come. It's my commute to work. You know, I bought my first wig here, and like the first scene of the play is set in that wig shop, literally just down the road from here. So it feels like such a beautiful moment. And I was like, wow, that is where the play started, when I walked in that shop. And now we're here. It's kind of mad.
We originally wanted to always write together, and we could never find a way to do that. And we were in Soho House. That's not a name drop, but we were in Soho House.
Oh my god, we were!
Yeah, we were in Soho House, and we were like, okay, we're going to be a writing duo. What are we going to call ourselves? And we put a question on Instagram, and then we came up, and everyone voted for no duo. So we're like, cool, we've got a name now. We need to come up with a story. And I had always wanted to change the format of theatre because I hadn't been in it for a while, and I had directed her in a play. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could have like a show that was like based around a stand-up set, and like really interactive with the audience? And we were like, yeah. And we're like, okay, what is it about? And then it was like, someone's getting cancelled, because we're very like, not vulgar, but we tell some very interesting jokes. And then we were like big fans of Dave Chappelle, and then we were just like, why can't women be as, you know, as daring as Dave Chappelle in comedy? Why is there such a deficit of female comedians, especially like women of colour? And then we wrote A Night with Hennessy Jade from there, really, and we pitched it to Brixton House before we actually wrote it, to be honest. And then she FaceTimed me, and she's like, we got it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, we got it. I was like, got what? And then got it. And it was like, oh shoot, we actually might have to write something now. And yeah, that's how it came about.
And just similarly to what Ruth is saying as well about being an actor in like this climate. Similar experience to Ruth of there's so many roles that we want to play, but we're either not getting seen for it, or for whatever reason they're not going to put us in it. Maybe we're not big enough, whatever. And I think the biggest advice I got a few years ago was like, similar to Tristan, if you want to be on stage, write it, put yourself in it, girl. Like, literally.
Make your own work.
Like, just make your work, make your own work. And I think as a young creative in London who's also not from England, technically I'm from Bermuda, but which is a territory. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, as someone who's in this industry that doesn't sound like that where they're from, it's so nice to be able to write work in your voice and not have to, because I'm sure other people will understand this about when you do tapes, you have to put on this accent and that. And it's so refreshing to write something that you can actually just say in your tone and just be who you are, and it's quite freeing.
Especially like you were saying with when you have a political point to make, like odds are no one's gonna make your point as well as you're doing it, right? So if you find a way to put it on and to actually say all that stuff that you've got burning, wanting to scream it at someone, I mean, no one's gonna do it better than you can.
Where was I when I got the idea? I was cooking spaghetti, I remember, and I was on the phone to my oldest and best friend, who's a paediatric ICU nurse, and it was kind of coming towards the end of COVID, and obviously that it wasn't the first kind of conversation we'd had about what was going on, but she was living in quite an isolated way, so she didn't want to give COVID to her family. And again, just like that disconnect between what was happening on the news and the way things were being spoken about and what seemed to be happening on the ground seemed to be a really interesting thing to explore, and not just artistically, although of course it was interesting artistically, but I think it felt like it needed to be, you know. So I asked her if she thought that if it could work, and obviously she said yeah, and was really excited. And then I started interviewing lots of other nurses, and it started snowballing, which was really, really cool. And people were really happy to talk, whereas I thought it'd be the opposite. Yeah.
I applied to a composer program by Sound of Music called New Voices. That was a couple of years ago. Because I think there was a point where the idea of saying you're a composer is like, there's a certain look and there's a certain class and there's a certain, all things wrapped up in it that we kind of internalized. And I think I was kind of like, no, anyone can be a composer. A composer is someone who writes music. And that's what I was doing. And so I applied to this program to write this epic hour-long, I pitched it like an hour-long thing. It's going to have all these genres. It's going to be dances. It's going to be this, that. And they're like, yeah, let's go for it. And I was like, wow, okay. And I just started writing it from there. And I think, like I said, I always was trying to have an opportunity to learn more about mythology that wasn't just Western. I studied philosophy and I was in lots of like Western European philosophy, and then in my spare time trying to look up African philosophy, Indian philosophy, South American philosophy, like trying to just have a broader concept of all these myths that connect, and there's so many relationships. So I thought this is a great chance to like be on a program and write something that involves all of that stuff. And then from there, I made like a short film to try and do the proof of concept, because all these characters kept popping up. So then the show is split into 4 movements. So we take the audience through that. So just do some residencies and things, and I've just been developing it from that and trying to build out to this, what I see in my head, which is this like epic opera theatre thing that will exist one day.
Whose show are you excited to see in the festival?
I'm excited to see everyone's show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be that lazy person. If I'm in the building, I'm just gonna walk up into the rehearsal space.
Well, because some shows are on at the same time, aren't they? So we can't. So we might have to sneak into rehearsals and things
Have a little sneak
for each other, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, right, team. Why should audiences come see your show?
What a good question.
For me, the show is about me. It's a true event that happened, and I just want to share my experience of this little black queer boy who came out to his friends in London. And I feel like it's a beautiful moment that I shared, and I would love to share it with the world.
Do I have to go?
Go for it.
Well, if anyone ever wanted to see Dave Chappelle in a female body for £100 cheaper in Brixton, come see our show.
Nice. Come see Jesus if you wanna laugh, if you wanna sing, if you wanna cry, hopefully, and you might never walk into a church and look at that half-naked man the same way again.
People should come and see Basic What Be if you want to learn, if you want to laugh, and if you want to embrace who you are.
I think you should come to see how British it is too. If you want to test yourself to see how British are you, and to see a bit of salsa, to see a bit of like empanadas, and just laugh a little bit with me.
I think people should come to be like transported to another world in the heart of Brixton. Just a little bit of magic in there. That's what I want people to come in.
People should come and see my show because you will go through a roller coaster of emotions. When you'll laugh, you'll laugh. When you'll cry, you'll cry. When you'll dance, you'll dance. So everyone should come.
People should come and see Tending because it's funny, it's moving, it's heartbreaking, and also it's the first show of its kind.
Nice. What does Housemates Festival mean to you in relation to where you are at in your creative careers?
Well, no, but like generally, it's been such a pleasure to like share the space with y'all. Like I feel there's so much inspiring themes and in such a hard time for the arts in general and for artists that are still kind of like finding our feet, being surrounded by you guys, and for the themes of your work, of everybody's work here, I think are so important for our communities. So I feel that as that is such a crucial thing to be happening, and I'm so honored to be surrounded by you guys.
I don't know, to be given the keys of the building for a week is when usually you have to like fight and scrap for one night at a place to do your thing. It's quite important and quite. It definitely feels like a step up in terms of other stuff I've been doing, where you're like, oh, please give me a night or two, or like, and now it's like, here, like, take it, let's go.
Yeah.
So that feels really fun and important.
Yeah, and to have support from the theatre as well, like with marketing, but also with you guys. It's so nice to feel, particularly in theatre, like outside of your own company, to be part of like a smaller community as well, and to also be so genuinely excited to like learn from you guys as well.
Yeah. I think it's really nice as well just to see what other people are doing, and it's just great inspiration for the future as a creative in this industry.
I feel like it's also beautiful that audience get to come in and watch more than one show in one day.
Yeah.
You're getting a combo of stuff, aren't you? Like
Yeah.
it's not just one show or two. It's like you can actually pick a few things and
Yeah.
have like a full panorama of the stuff, which is nice.
And I think the diversity of the work, you get to see how different theatre and stories can be told from different perspectives and different communities, which I think is really important. And to have the backing of a theatre to do that is really, it gives a lot of hope to the future of the arts, I would say.
I think also, you know, because I've been in touch with this place before it became Brixton House, like as Oval House. So I think just coming back to the house, it's great, and just finding other individuals that also are, you know, are the reflection of like what London is. And I think the diversity of what we have here is kind of like brings that sort of nostalgic aspect of what it was back then, and it still now is in a bigger building with new housemates. I think it's great, like, to be part of this.
Yes.
I know. I would like to say, like, it's an open question to the room, but I feel like doing this Housemates Festival has made me grow as a person. I was just an actor who wrote something, and the Housemates Festival has really challenged me to be a producer and source a team and, you know, pull everything together, which I'm grateful for. Also stressful, but I would love to hear about like everyone's journey. Like, it's taken me 3 years to get to this point, and I feel like I've been in a crash course that I didn't prepare myself for. So yeah, I guess how's everyone been finding it?
I can start. I mean, so I've put my show on before, but it was just an extract. So the version at Brixton House is the full length. And it has been testing times. It has been testing. The first iteration
It was awesome. Sorry, I saw it.
Oh, thank you, girl. It was a profit share, so it was first at Goose Theatre, and yeah, I remember like just doing a call out on Twitter, trying to find the people, and you know, like when you're doing profit share, of course you always want to like be able to pay people properly because you want to make sure that like you're showing them the utter respect and time. But yeah, it was. I think you've literally described it perfectly. This whole process, because now this is like the third year for me. It's a crash course. Like you're learning on the job. So I feel like everybody has to give themselves grace. Like we're all learning. It's part of the process. And actually, although like there's been testing times for me, like I've become a better artist for it. Like all these things I didn't know that comes together to make a show. Like I really appreciate every single person that contributes to a show. And I think before, like when you're just the actor on stage, there's that disconnect because you don't understand how things are made. But when you're, you know, wearing many hats, as challenging as it is, because it really is challenging, yeah, there's an appreciation. So when you're putting on a show again, like you have better perspective and better appreciation. But hasn't been easy, especially the funding part. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For us, it's been quite a journey as well. I mean, the first time you wrote it, it was more like a monologue, wasn't it?
It was a one-person show with a guitarist.
With a guitarist, which was me. Yeah, and maybe there was like one song or two, and it was like, you know, it was a lot more like my personal story kind of show. And then you brought a producer in who was like, no, the bit that works the best is this like 5 minute that feels like a musical, and it's a song and there's a scene and it's like and it's funny and all these things, and it was like, oh, okay. Classic. Throw it all out the window, and then one day you just decided it was going to be a musical, which was a crazy, insane, and fantastic decision. And then we were like, oh, okay, great, we need to write a musical. So we had a couple of shows, like a proof of concept kind of thing earlier in the year. But this, having the full week, having a bit of financial support from the theatre, it was all the perfect opportunity to be like, okay, let's make it feel like a musical. Like, so you know, now we have a choreographer, we have an orchestrator, we have like recorded music. It's not just me and the guitar. There's like a full blown thing, and it's like, how even do you do that? I don't know, but we're there.
Yeah. It's also it's been great to have the time. I think I've always been kind of fearful of spending too much time in a thing, and this is the first time that I have this in my mind for like about 3 years, I think, and being able to like take distance from your work and come back to it when you have the chance, and also having other people's brains and learning to collaborate effectively. I mean, we have even like learned to collaborate. It's been a journey as a couple.
It is.
But you know, it's humbling in many ways to put your work out there and let it be transformed as well.
Yeah, I think for us, it's been really hard. I'll be very honest, because our play has never been staged before, and it was very much just an idea that we had. And I think the most challenging bit has been trying to write stand-up in theatre space, which was a daring idea, but when you try and do it, it then becomes real. And comedy in that space is different. Like, comedians deliver a story, they tell it in different pacing. Like, how you tell a joke depends on how funny it can be. And getting that right in the writing. Because sometimes you read something and it doesn't translate, like, oh, is this funny? Then you hear it read out loud, oh, it is funny if you say it like that. So you have to make
I'd be like reading stuff. Jeremiah would be like, read this. I'd be like, ew, no, not funny. Say it like this. Or like, ew, your voice doesn't work with that. And then it's literally like that was us writing it.
It's a lot of troubleshooting. But it's also just been really good to push ourselves in that space. And it's terrifying because comedy relies on it actually being funny.
Yeah.
So I think in the back of our mind, we're like, if we do this play and everyone is just like not laughing, it's just now just a play. It's not a stand-up show, which is also makes it really challenging and fun to write because, you know, either you go hard or you go home.
It's really inspiring to hear all of the work and where it comes from because as well, like I've been working on this for the past 3 years and luckily I was able to get the DYCP to be able to develop myself as something else because it's for me, but then something came up and then I've been battling since 2022 to be able to get this. But it's always been just me and my friend Igor, like the Polish guy, and and then we would rehearse in his house, in the pub. So it's never been like a proper setup. So it's been like every now and then and just trying it. I tested it in different places, in different theatres. I even went to Liverpool and it was really cool because I got a perspective, but then still it was just me and my mate. So it was just like very challenging because I realized that I needed so much more. So I'm grateful to be able to be in the house and to be able to get the support from everyone who's like the team, the promoting, advertisement, producing. And again, it's like a crash course because I'm like, my head is going crazy, but also I have a great team now with me. So I have level up, I guess, having a director, having assistant director, producer, and all of this. And thanks for Brixton House for supporting because I don't think I will be able to level up. And that's how I feel. It's a level up. So I'm really hoping to give a great show and make people laugh and make people dance salsa and stuff. You know.
I did have a question. I guess like I'm really big on like dreaming big. So like, what's the dream of this play? Like, how far do you want it to reach? Like, is it just Brixton House and then you're happy and content, or do you want it to go further?
I want to go further.
Yeah,
as far as it can go. Like I was saying, this is the first for me. So like, I've not done anything like this, and I feel like this festival was like Reading Festival, where you go to a place and you see so many different types of work. But like, I would love to go to Edinburgh Fringe. I would love it to go to another venue. Who knows, a tour?
Yeah, maybe tour.
Broadway. What are you saying? All of us on Broadway? Come on now.
Here again.
You know?
I think if you take us all together.
As a group.
Sums it up.
Same. Why not?